going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube. I am coming to you on this Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 with an update video. My first update for the year 2026 in the second half of the month, but it's been a full January, and my kiddo is back to school today for the first time for after the break, and so here we are. We are here to update y'all on the stitchy things I have done so far for the first 3 weeks or so of January. So before I get into everything, welcome everybody. Welcome to both my returning viewers as well as anybody who is new here. Perhaps you're checking out my channel for the first time, and so welcome. I hope you find something you like. Hope you stick around. On this channel, I talk mostly about cross stitch, though sometimes I will talk about books and knitting when it pertains. And we are going to have a little bit of a book segment at the end because I have finished 2 books so far this year, and I'd like to talk about them briefly. Yeah, just real quickly, and we'll go from there. The FlossTube itchy nose has set in already. Great start. So yeah, I am back with another update, and it feels a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. Here's why it feels a little weird. I never did an update for the rest of December. I was trying and then crashed on doing a parade through my 2025 new starts. I was trying to spend about a day on each of my new starts at the end of December, but the end of December was more full than I had anticipated. So I never came back and did an update to follow up on that. So then I stitched through the first 10 days of the month on a Milestone Manor rotation. I spent the first 10 days just playing Milestone Manor, and then went on vacation and did not stitch the entire vacation. And we are home for a couple of days now. We've been home for a couple of days, and so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, but since I did not stitch for a stretch of 7 days, it feels weird to come on here and do an update. But I do have stitching to catch you up on, and so let's do that. We're gonna do that. So what I have to show you is just my January Milestone Manor rotation. I'm not talking about December in this video. I'm not talking about anything that I have done after Milestone Manor, because I am in the midst of a Whipco rotation now, but it's just barely begun, and so I'm not showing that today. So we're just catching up the first rotation of the month, my Milestone Manor rotation. If you hear me saying Milestone Manor and you are wondering what on earth I'm talking about, Milestone Manor is a stitchy game that I created, and I will link my video up here as well as in the description box for how to play. I am essentially walking through the rooms of my house, encountering projects, monsters, and stitching towards various milestones. That is how I am tackling my full coverage projects this year, and I am loving this game. I'm really enjoying it. A bunch of folks have jumped on, and it seems like some folks are really enjoying it as well, so that's great. And so my plan of attack this year is that I spend the first 10 days of the month ish, and we'll talk about it, but my first 10 days of the month are on Milestone Manor, and then I am working on Whipco and other things after that. Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and jump in. Once we get done with the whip update, then I will do a brief talk about what my immediate plans are. I don't have any haul. Well, I do, but I don't. We'll talk about it. And then we'll do a quick book talk. In amongst everything, I will probably have some little anecdotes about our trip, but I don't think that I'm going to be doing a dedicated segment to our trip. Last week we were down at Disney World in Orlando, Florida, in part for vacation and in part to celebrate my daughter's birthday. She turned 5 last week. And if you are having a hard time grasping the fact that Baby Does Stuff is 5 years old, I also cannot wrap my brain around it. We got our You Have Graduated from the Imagination Library from Dolly Parton, and I cried. I can't believe that she is 5, but she is 5, and yeah. So anyway, so that was a part of the reason why we took the trip last week, was to celebrate her birthday. So I won't be doing necessarily a dedicated segment, but it's gonna come up. I'm wearing my Disney shirt today. Yeah, you know, it's gonna come up in the conversations. So let's go ahead and jump in, and we'll get going with the whip update. Got my notes pulled up. I had to take some pretty meticulous notes because this feels like it was a long time ago. It feels like ages upon ages ago that I worked on these things, even though it was just at the beginning of this same month that we are still in. So anyway, okay. When last we spoke about Milestone Manor, I was in my upstairs hallway. So I'll insert my map here, and it shows my little meeple in that upstairs hallway. And I had posted my January 2026 plans, and so we know that my plan was to head downstairs. And so I did that. I moved from my upstairs hallway onto the stairs. My project for my stairs is Little Wings. So that lives in this project bag here. For those project bag makers that I can link in the description box below to their shops or what have you, I will. Some of my project bags come from folks who aren't making bags or aren't selling them. But for those that I can link, you can find links in the description box. This is a bag by Be Busy Bags. And sometimes she has project bags in her shop and sometimes she doesn't. So I'll have a look and head on into my description box if you are curious about that. But this is the project bag that holds Little Wings. Little Wings, okay, this one is a little bit complicated. Little Wings is a design by Jeremiah Ketner. My version is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Heaven and Earth Designs Jeremiah Ketner is no longer with Heaven and Earth Designs. You can find Ketner works with Charting Creations. This design in particular, you can find on Charting Creations. So if you love this piece, head on over there if you want access to an available version of it. Mine is technically an out-of-print version. Okay, so my very first roll, which I did in my January 2026 video, was for 1,400 stitches, and I ended up doing 1,401 stitches. I unfolded the fabric just to fold it back up again. Okay, here we go. Okay, so fabric is a 25 count Easy Grid Lugana from Zweigart. I am stitching this 1/1 full cross with the called for DMC. I subbed the DMC 310 for Anchor Black, Anchor 403 for just slightly better coverage. And a good majority of my projects are like that. Called for DMC, 1/1 full cross on 25 count, Anchor Black, usually for the most part, instead of DMC 310. Although that won't be a thing in my projects moving forward. But anyway, so here's what I got to with my 1,400 stitches. I hit the right side of the page and then some. So this is a little bit of feathering into the right side of the page, into page 3 a little bit, and just continued on filling in. I got in a good portion of this little flower here, which is always fun to stitch. It's fun to stitch these bright hot pinks, but then it's fun to get into the orange ones too. I also carried down this tendril a little bit. So yeah, so that's where I got to. Let's see. It took me 2 days. So just the one time that I worked on it. I am now at 10,948 stitches complete of 208,400 stitches total, bringing me to 5.25%. So let's talk about the milestones. I hit two in this stitching session, which was fantastic. So the first one is that I crossed the 10,000 stitches mark, which it's always so much fun to hit that first 10,000. Every subsequent 10,000 means a lot as well, but that first 10,000, that just feels really, really spectacular. The first time you hit 5 digits, that's pretty cool. So yeah, cross 10,000 and then the 5% mark. I also hit the 5% mark. So those are the milestones that I reached on this one. I think that's all the information I have to give you on that. I hit those 2 milestones and I wasn't expecting to reach 2, but I did. And that brought me to 10 experience points having been earned at that point. And so I leveled up. I got to level up. So level up procedures. I rolled my D4 and I got 1, which was a bummer. But I got a 1, which means that my hit points went up by 1. So I am now at 9 hit points. And in order to go up to level 4, because I'm now a level 3, I need 12 experience points now, which feels like a lot. That feels like it's going to take me a while. Maybe I can do that in March, but we'll see. I mean, we will see. So anyway, with level up, when you level up, you go back to your starting point, and I was kind of already there because that was my plan. I was coming down the stairs back to my hallway entryway, which is really where I go back to for level up. So it worked out. I didn't end up having to scoot all the way back when I had advanced. So I leveled up and started fresh health and back down to 0 experience points earned. Got to start filling that up. Need 12 in order to go up to level 4. Okay, so then I worked on April, and I worked on April twice throughout this Milestone Manor rotation, because it's my hallway piece. It's my one that's getting a lot of attention through Milestone Manor. So I worked on it twice. So let me show you that. That lives in this project bag. This is a bag by the Brass Button. And I will link her shop. Her shop is very often on vacation, but I will link it anyway, so that you can keep an eye on it for if and when she posts new things. So yeah, so that's where this bag comes from. In here is April. This is also by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is artwork by Dittman, and this one is still currently available from HAED. This is my oldest full coverage design. She will turn 10 here in 2026 in April, and I have big goals for this project. I want to hit 10 page finishes in the year, and we'll see. We'll see. We will see. So I worked on this 2 times for Milestone Manor, a total of 4 days. I did a sum total of 2,121 stitches on this piece. My first roll was for 1,400 stitches. My second roll was for 720 stitches, so it looks like I went over by 1 stitch in total. And so let me show you the progress, and then we can talk about all of the things. This is on a 25 count antique white Lugano from Zweigart. It never was gridded. It was never a pre-gridded fabric. I started this project before that was like a really common thing. So Yeah, this one has been a plain fabric since the beginning. And there's some really cool stuff. Really cool progress that I made on this one. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, and then I'll go over all of the numbers, because I know I lose some folks with the numbers. So right off the bat here, page 4 is finished. Page 4 is done. So I got my first page finished for the year, which is pretty good. I knew that here in January that I wasn't going to hit my stitch counts. I had done some math and figured out that I needed about 4,100 stitches a month, and I knew I wasn't going to hit that here in January, just with travel and such. So it felt good to get a page finish so that at least I'm there. At least I'm at that stage. Got the page finish. Not to mention, this top row of pages is my least favorite on this design. These colors are so pale. Here on camera it doesn't look that bad, but when I'm stitching and my eyes are tired and it's 5 in the morning and the coffee hasn't hit yet, DMC 3756 and 3772 and 712, they are antique white. It's very hard to see what is stitched versus what hasn't been. Yeah. On camera it looks, there's great contrast there, but whee, not necessarily when the coffee hasn't hit yet. So anyway, so page 4 finished. Very, very cool. And now I can start working on my favorite parts, which are, of course, her face. I am on the face page. And I love that. I love getting to the face page. A lot of my full coverage designs are lady faces, and getting to the face page, that's just so much fun. It feels like a reward. I have done math. 7 pages at this point, and I am finally being rewarded by getting her face stitched. Very, very cool. And then after that, I will get into those deep dark blues, which I have so much fun stitching. So anyway, we have an eye. We have an eye, because I have started on, let me think, page 9, right? 6 pages across. So yes, that is page 9 that I have started on here. And yeah, one of her eyes is just about finished. This line here, this brow bone, is going to come down her nose, so we'll get some definition of her nose. And this sort of dark line here for underneath her eye will form the outline for her cheek. We have another eyebrow that looks legit. Like, it looks real. How is it that with just a few hundred stitches that looks almost photorealistic? Oh, it's so much fun. Full coverage is the best, isn't it? Personal opinion. Anyway, very, very cool. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. So, okay, so like I said, 2,121 stitches added since you've last seen this. I worked on this for a total of 4 days over those 2 rotations for Milestone Manor. I am now at 54,717 stitches complete of 156,150 stitches total, bringing me to 35.04%. So you know what I'm about to tell you. I hit some milestones over those 2 rotations. During the first milestone, I got my page finish. I was only about 1,000 stitches away, and so I got my page finish. And then my second rotation, for only 720 stitches, I managed 2 milestones. The first one was 3 zeroed out colors. I can't believe that I'm only at 3 zeroed out colors. That seems wild, considering these oranges are really just here. It's really just here, and a little bit in her eyebrow. But yeah, it's wild that I've only got 3 zeroed out colors yet. But that's the truth, because the center of the flower dips into this page underneath, page 10 here, and so those won't be zeroed out for a while yet. So 3 0 dot colors, and then obviously I hit the 35%, which I wasn't expecting to do with that 720 stitches, but I did. So pretty cool, 35%. So my next milestone, and we'll talk about the April milestone situation, but my next milestone, I will hit 100,000 stitches remaining. That's in about 1,500 stitches, so pretty cool stuff, unless I hit 3 more zeros, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So that's where we are with April as of January. It's hard to believe, it's hard to say that with just 2,000 stitches, the rotation is done for this month, but it's just gotta be. It's gotta be the way it is this month. This month is just a little bit different. And next month will be a little bit different, and March will be a little bit different, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little later. So there we are with April. I was really fortunate with my dice rolls through a milestone manner rotation this time. So when I was talking in my plans video about how I am using milestone manner for sort of working in tandem with Full Coverage Fanatics Bingo, Bingo Bonanza, it just happened to work out each time that I rolled enough that I didn't have to sort of bop into one room and then back. I was able to get all of the stitches done on the first go, so that was pretty cool. So I leveled up. I did my stitches on April in the hallway. I'm looking out there in my hallway. I don't know why. And then I needed to come in here because in here is Magic Study, and I needed that for bingo. So that lives in this project bag. This is a fabulous bag by, this was a gift from Dawn Marie of DM's Crafty Vortex. And in here lives my Magic Study, as mentioned. Magic Study is another one, a lot like Little Wings. This is artwork by Rose Catherine Kahn. So preview here. This version is by Heaven and Earth Designs. Rose Catherine Kahn is no longer with Heaven and Earth Designs. However, you can find other Rose Catherine Kahn artworks as well as a version of this particular design with Paine Free Crafts. So Paine Free Crafts this time, you need, if you are interested in this design. Okay, so this is Magic Study, and this is so there are kind of two versions of Magic Study. We have this one, which is kind of more, it's got more of the jewel tones. And then there's a rainbow version, which has more butterflies in it and more of a Lisa Frank sort of aesthetic to it. It's a little bit brighter. It's got more shades in it. This one's got more of the blues and purples in it. Okay. Magic Study. My dice roll was for 1,100 stitches, and I did exactly that. And this one I have in the Q-snap, and I'm not taking it out of the Q-snap because this piece is ginormous and it's not fun getting it wrapped up in the Q-snap. So I've got it in the right spot, and it's not coming out until I get a page finished. So I'm going to show you the progress here. And I am really, really pleased with the progress on this one. So I worked on this for one time. It took me 2 days to do that 1,100 stitches. Because I'm up here in this, it goes fairly quickly. I'm able to zoom through stitches pretty easily on that part. The crystals in this chandelier here are where there's some confetti. It's not bad. This is really mild as far as confetti is concerned so far. I'm also nowhere on this. But anyway, otherwise it zooms pretty quickly. Okay, so I am now at 18,511 stitches complete of 416,250 stitches total, bringing me to 4.45%. And my 1100 stitches, I did not get a milestone. So that's the interesting thing about this game and about the projects that I have in here, because this one I did 1100 stitches, no milestones. On April, just after this, I did 720 stitches and hit 2 milestones. So it's interesting to see how that plays out. So yeah, 18,511 stitches, 4.45% complete. Again, 25 count, easy grid, 1/1, full cross. Called for DMC Inker Black instead of DMC 310. And yeah, I you know, my feelings about this piece are, they ebb and flow. Some days I really don't like it, and some days I want to work on it constantly. Those crystals really are a lot of fun to stitch. I do very much enjoy that. I like stitching the things on this one, and I'm tired of the background stuff. So anyway, so that's where we are with Magic Study on this rotation. So I'm going to insert it here, but that is about as far as Milestone Manor can go for me for Full Coverage Fanatics Bingo. I hit the 3 of the 5 that I possibly could, and done at that point. So I talked about the fact that once I get as far as I can on Full Coverage Fanatics Bingo through Milestone Manor, then the way that I am going to handle the decision fatigue that I do deal with is I'm going to follow in the footsteps of Jen the Caffeinated Crafter, and I'm going to do Milestone Manor Final Destination, where in which I randomly choose a room in the house and I work my way towards that room. So I set up a wheel with the rooms and spun it until I got one that was at least 2 rooms away. So I needed to take some steps to get there. And I spun my den. Now I don't have access to my den yet, and I need to go to the kitchen first. But I had just leveled up, and so I have access to 1 additional room. So I decided to make my way there. So as previously mentioned, I finished up my rotation on Magic Study in here, went back into the hallway, did the 720 on April, and then after that, in order to get from my hallway to my kitchen, I need to first go into my dining room. So in my dining room is a project that lives in this bag here. This is a bag by Jasmine's Custom Bags. I will link her Instagram where you can see her stuff. But I love this bag. I think it's adorable. So in here lives my Avarice. Avarice is by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist here is Marta Dahlig. This is from her 7 Deadly Sins series, and I am stitching a cropped version of this. So I'll go ahead and insert here the cover image, and then I will crop it to about where I think I'm cropping it. I have enough fabric here to stitch the whole thing. I just thought that I would take off some of the dress to bring her a little bit further into focus. And I also wanted to take off the wording at the bottom. I didn't need to stitch that. I don't have really intention of stitching all 7 of these, and so yeah. So I took off that part and then some of the dress just to bring her a little bit closer to focus. So Avarice is a piece that I started in 2017, and so it's a little embarrassing for it being 9 years old this year and how far I am on it, but you know, that's okay. These projects take time. This one has a ton of parked threads because I am in the confetti on this one. I am in it, and I love it. I love every minute of stitching the confetti on this, but it's a lot of parked threads. So, you know, be wary if park threads aren't your thing. There's a lot. it's a lot. So here is where I am with Avarice, and oh, do I love this piece so very much. Okay, so my dice roll was for 1,260 stitches, and I did exactly 1,260 stitches. It took me 3 days to do that because, as I said, I'm in the confetti. These diamonds are no joke. So many color changes in there, and I love seeing it come together. So I am now at 18,633 stitches complete of 153,200 stitches total. That is the cropped size. So Pattern Keeper has the full 240,000, I think it is. But mine is 153,200. I am at 12.16%, and now those numbers are accurate. And my 1,260 stitches, no milestones. So I have yet to hit a milestone on this project, which is wild. For how much I have done here on page, I think this is page 7. I think this is 6 pages across. I have yet to hit a milestone. I haven't hit the bottom of the page yet. It's coming soon, I think. Well, no, because the right side of the page is there. So I've still got a ways to go yet. And I don't have any colors zeroed. Percentage-wise, I'm at 12%, and I need to get to 15 for that milestone. I'm close. I'm about 1,400 stitches away from 20,000. So I suppose that is likely to be my first milestone on this piece. I love working on it. I want to spend so much more time with this one. These warm colors and the confetti, I do enjoy stitching confetti. Yeah, I really enjoy this project. Really, really, really pretty great. So that's where we are with Avarice. And this is actually a little bit spoilery, but this is going to be my next project, my first project for Milestone Manor in February. So February 1st, this is what I'll be putting on the frame. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. After Avarice, I was able to move into my kitchen, and it was so much fun. I got to open a new envelope and find a new project, and in there I found a project that I was really excited to work on. So I walked into my kitchen on, it had to have been January 10th. I had one day to be able to work on it before we left. And it was not exactly a great day because there was packing and organizing, and we were also taking down the Christmas tree finally. There were lots of things happening that day, so I didn't get to do a whole lot that day. But anyway, so I walked into my kitchen and I found a project that lives in this project bag, our first Stitch and Button bag of the day. This is a bag, like I said, by Stitch and Button, and this is the things we bury. Now this is actually full coverage, no background, but I'm including those in Milestone Manor. And this is charted by Unconventional X Stitch. The artist here is Emerald Barkley. And this is my first Emerald Barkley, but trust, this is not going to be my last that I do of theirs. Oh, I love their work so very much. I really, really love this one, but Unconventional has several of theirs that I'm a big fan. So, I rolled for 1,200 stitches, and I was not able to do 1,200 stitches on January 10th. And then we left, and this one did not come with me on our travels, and it's nearly 100 colors. This one is 99 colors, so that's pretty interesting. But it's not going to travel well. And so when we get back on, let me think, Saturday the 17th, we got back on Saturday the 17th. I wasn't sure what to work on. This was still on my frame, and so for simplicity's sake, I just decided to sit down and finish up my Milestone Manor rotation. Now, that was not the day to be working on this either, because it was the Bills' playoff game was Saturday afternoon. And I'm exhausted from getting home from travel and, unpacking and trying to get, resituated. And anyway, it was not the day. So I didn't get a whole lot of progress on Saturday the 17th either. But I did end up working on this on Sunday the 18th as well to close out the Milestone Manor rotation. This is going to be a case-by-case basis. I think that sometimes I will likely get to this point where at the end of the 10th I'm not finished a rotation on a project for Milestone Manor, and I will put it away and come back to it at my next Milestone Manor rotation. And sometimes I'll probably spend the extra day or so to get it accomplished. And that's what happened here. So this one got 3 days, even though it came at the tail end of the rotation. This is another one, as mentioned, 99 colors. This one's got some confetti, and so I have lots of park threads on this one. Okay, so I'll show you the progress and then we can talk. Oh, I love this. I love this a lot. So my fabric here is a 25 count vintage Stormy Night Lugana from Zweigart. 1/1 full cross called for DMC. Anchor black instead of DMC 310 on this one as well. I think. If this one has black, I think I did the anchor. And I am working on this page here. And I have my pattern keeper because I wasn't sure. Okay, so that's page 8. Page 8 of the chart. And this is full coverage, no background, so there's a lot of empty space here. Move that giant pile of threads out of my way. Okay, there we go. So page 8 here, and as you can see, I'm really close to the page finish. Can I just tell you, I got my 1200 stitches exactly, and I have maybe 200 stitches left of the page. It was so hard to stop and to not get the page finish, but I'm doing my best to stick to the stitch counts called for in Milestone Manor, to not race ahead. But this is a project that I started in 2024, which means that I need to reach 2 milestones on this project, and then it's defeated. And I hit 1 already. And so the desire to stitch that extra bit so that I could get the page finish, so it was so there. But I didn't. I stuck to the rules and put it away. So that's where we are with the things we bury. Okay, so numbers. I am now at 6,349 stitches complete of 97,776, bringing me to 6.49% complete. And the one milestone I hit is that I hit the bottom of the page, therefore I reached what I call shrinking diagonals, because I stitched this just like I do my regular full coverage, in 10 by 10 blocks on the diagonal, feathering into neighboring blocks, and parking. So I hit shrinking diagonals, which is always fun for me. I also find it very difficult to stop stitching when I reach that point. I want to keep going. It's very motivating. So that's where we are with the things we bury. And that's where things concluded for Milestone Manor for January. I have a couple of other things to talk about as far as a WIP update is concerned, but real quickly here, I want to go over my character sheet for Milestone Manor and my whip sheet for Milestone Manor. So here is the status of things for my character on Milestone Manor. This is where I finished up when I was a level 2. And as you can see, I had taken 3 damage, but I still had 5 more that, so I had some wiggle room. And now I am a level 3 and have already taken 2 damage. So I have 7 options here before my character becomes exhausted and I gotta start over again. So we'll see how it goes. Here is the status of things as far as my experience points are concerned. I need to fill in this section before I can level up to level 4. So yeah, because in order to calculate XP needed, I take my current health points and add that to my current level. I am a level 3. I have 9 health points. Therefore, I need 12 experience points to go to level 4. It sounds like a lot. I'm a third of the way there, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, February and March are going to be different. So we'll see. we'll see how it goes. So there is that. That's the status of things as far as my character is concerned. And then here, this is interesting. Here is my whip sheet. And what you will notice is, first of all, I've Avarice, nothing yet. And that one needs 9. Haunted House I haven't worked on since the first time. Summer Montage is the same. Magic Study we're about halfway. Same for Quick Stitch Day and Night. Dark Waters has a ways to go yet, but that's not surprising. The Things We Bury, look. I get that page finished, and this one is retired and defeated. April is... I've got to do some decisions. I've got to make some decisions on this one. Because, okay, April, I am 1 away from the project being defeated. And I had talked previously about how once that happens, I want to start Leonid Afromov's Bonded by the Rain. My 10-year wedding anniversary is this year, and I would like to start that for my husband and I. With hopes of finishing it by our 25th wedding anniversary or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I don't know that I can do that. I don't know that I can switch over to something that doesn't have a big goal for this year. I have 2 big goals for 2026. 10 pages on April and the finish on Snow Castle, which we haven't talked about yet, but we will here in just a second. So I am really, really undecided at this point. I could continue April in this position. So essentially April would just be my perpetual entryway hallway piece. Because I don't have it worked into any other plans or locations. So there's that consideration. The other consideration I had is that I would swap it for Snow Castle, because Snow Castle, as mentioned, is my other big goal, and that's not yet in Milestone Manor. Or I could do Bonded by the Rain, which is something that I really wanted to start, but I don't know. That feels like it feels like I am detouring, and I don't necessarily have time for a detour. January was enough of a detour in and of itself. So I don't know. I am of 2 minds. I can get Snow Castle into Milestone Manor, which would be good, but I don't have April in anything else. April is just in Milestone Manor. So maybe I just keep it. Maybe I just keep going. I think that's what I have to do. So once I complete it this first time, I think it's just gonna get added to the bottom and start over again. So anyway, so that's the status of things. I wanted to give you stats. Let me do that. Where is that file? I wanted to give you Milestone Manor stats. Okay, so let's see. I have done, since I started playing, 27 rounds of Milestone Manor. So I've gone into 27 spaces, which is remarkable. Let's see. I have done a total of 33,070 stitches. A little bit more than that because that is how much I have rolled for, and I have gone over very slightly a few times. So 33,070 stitches on my full coverage pieces since I started playing in October, I think. So I'm averaging about 1,225 stitches per roll. My high is still 2,900. My low is still 110. So those are the highs and lows for the rolls. I have defeated 2 projects, and I have a total of 24 projects possible involved. So I'm down to 22. So that's interesting. Just thought that I would share that with you. So those are the stats, if you will, for Milestone Manor as of today. Okay, so that's Milestone Manor. All set there. Okay, Snow Castle. I did work on Snow Castle in amongst Milestone Manor. Here's what happened. Snow Castle is my gridiron grind piece. It is a project that I am stitching for the Buffalo Bills, and we lost on Saturday in the divisional round to the Denver Broncos. So congratulations to Sarah and Stitchamami, who is, as we know, a Denver Broncos fan. Her family, they're all Denver Broncos fans. And anybody else who's watching who are Broncos fans, we lost. And playoff heartbreak. Why does that have to be a part of our culture? Why does that have to be a part of Buffalo Bills culture? I don't understand it. Yeah, so I'm not done stitching. I'll be honest, I don't remember. I don't know what I've stitched for yet. I know I haven't stitched for our playoff games yet. And I don't think I've stitched for the Eagles game. So we're just going to call it there. We're going to say that I still need to stitch for our loss to the Eagles. We lost 12-13 on December 28th. And then on January 4th, we played against the Jets, and we won that game 35-8. I knew that it was a high margin of victory. I just couldn't remember what the score was. So I worked on Snow Castle on January 4th because that's why this episode is called Beginnings and Ends, because that was our last game at Old Highmark, the Ralph Wilson, at our stadium. The new stadium is going to open next year, New Highmark. It's just across the street. But it just felt very kind of emotional, the last game, and so I was sure to work on my Snow Castle during the game that day because it was the last one at Old Highmark at the Ralph. So I put in 327 stitches on January 4th. It wasn't a lot because I don't stitch a lot while watching football. Even if it's a game that is sure to go our way, it doesn't matter. I am still I just watch football. Anyway, so I'm going to show you that. I'm not going to do any before and afters because I only did the 327 stitches on it. So it wasn't, that was a needle. and it's gone. It wasn't a lot of progress. I just finished up over here. I did get zeros. That is kind of cool. I finished out 2 colors. So I think I'm up to 4 zeros at this point on Snowcastle. Let me see. I have Pattern Keeper right here. Wake up. Yeah, I'm up to 4 zeroed out colors. Wish this was in Milestone Manor. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Got my second 2 zeroed out colors. Finally, now that I am at 58.59% complete. It's wild that I'm only now at 4 zeroed out colors. So I still need to stitch for, as we've called it, the Eagles game, the Jets game, and then I need to stitch for the Jaguars game. Okay, let's talk about the Jaguars game for a second. So the wild card round of the playoffs, we had to go into Jacksonville to play. And that game was on Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Sunday, January 11th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Our plane landed in Orlando at 12:15, I think. 12:15. 12:15 p.m. in Orlando, Florida. 2 hours away from Jacksonville. It was really hard not to rent a car and try to drive up there and get, some last minute scalp tickets to try to go to the game. Of course, that was not the purpose of the trip. That was not why I was in Florida. But to be that close, that felt rude. So we won that game. I was able to catch just the bitter end of it, which was pretty great. So I need to stitch for that. And then get home on Saturday and watch as we lost to the Broncos in overtime. So many things were frustrating about that game. So many things are just gonna haunt me as missed opportunities, as missed moments. Ugh. Anyway, I'm not gonna wax about football much. So I need to stitch for those 4 games yet. Okay, so let's move our way into plans a little bit, because this is pretty much it as far as projects I actually have to show you. Okay. We'll come back to what I'm currently working on here in just a second, but let's talk about this coming weekend. This coming weekend is the first 24 hours of cross stitch marathon weekend for the year. Jen Lee over at Quirks and Stitches runs 4 24 hours of cross stitch marathon weekends each year. And the goal is to do 24 hours of stitching, and you have basically the whole weekend to accomplish that. You can stitch it straight through, or like me, you can be team sleep and break it up and just try to accomplish as much stitching as you can over the weekend. And that is usually my plan. I just try to do as much as I can. Try to do a little bit more than usual on the weekend. So this weekend, it was not supposed to be that for me. I wasn't supposed to be able to do that. My husband's game weekend is supposed to be this weekend, and my Stitchy group is supposed to meet up on Sunday, and so I was really excited. We were gonna get to meet up here in January. And so I wasn't going to be able to do marathon weekend this weekend, but the weather has different plans. It's looking like we're going to get a bunch of snow, and by a bunch, I mean the forecasts are wild. First of all, we're quite a few days ahead of things, and so it's likely to change a lot between now and what actually happens. But the current forecast is saying that we're expecting anywhere from 8 to 18 inches of snow, which is just wonderful. For me, I love a good snowstorm. So yeah, so very much not going to be going anywhere this weekend. It's supposed to start on Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and snow very heavily on Sunday, and maybe even a little bit into Monday. And so Snow Castle, I feel like 24 hours of cross stitch with Snow Castle on a snowed in weekend, that feels like a good plan. So I'm going to spend this weekend working on this. I'm going to start working on it on probably Friday. What do you think? We'll see. Probably Friday, maybe Friday afternoon or Friday evening, and then spend all day on Saturday and Sunday with it, and just see what I can get done on the weekend with Snow Castle. This is artwork by Randall Spangler, by the way, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. My longtime viewers will know that, but not everybody's gonna know that, especially if this is your first time. And I will, of course, have put in a preview of what it will look like finished. So anyway, so that is that plan. Let's come back to what I'm currently working on. So my sort of second rotation each month is WhipGo. I have a WhipGo board that is comprised of 8 projects that I would like to see finished by the end of the year, and each of them are repeated 3 times throughout the board. So it's very likely that I will get some doubling up at some point this year. This month I got 2 separate projects. My goals for this are to spend 3 to 5 days of dedicated time on these projects to just put in as much progress as I can to work them towards the finish. So they'll get at least 9 days in 2026, just trying to work towards the finish on them. So spaces 2 and 7 were called for WhipGo, and I am currently working on my project for space 2, which is Garden of Erie by Plum Street Samplers. So I'll insert here a preview of what it will look like finished, as well as a picture of my starting point. I did not bring that to show you because I'm just in the middle of a rotation on it. And so just to simplify, we just stuck with the Milestone Manor rotation for this video, and I will catch you up on the WhipGo rotation next time. So under a normal month, under a typical month, I would have anywhere from 3 to 5 days to give to each of these WhipGo calls. January being different with the big chunk of travel there where I didn't stitch at all. I don't have as much time, and so I think that the plan is I'm going to spend 3 days on each of my WhipGo calls. So my second WhipGo call is Autumn Fairy, and Autumn Fairy I will work on, I suppose, on Thursday, and then at least a half day Friday, Monday, and then perhaps a half day Tuesday as well, because I believe it's Tuesday is when my next rotation starts. The ball just keeps going. The wheel just keeps turning. The wheel just keeps turning, right? So my next rotation starts next Tuesday, and in my next update video, we'll talk about that and what that's going to look like. But that is going to be my temperature stitching rotation. So that's coming up, but not before I see you. So yeah. So I'm working on Garden of Erie currently. Autumn Fairy will be a broken up rotation, which is fine. And Snow Castle this weekend for as much as I possibly can. I won't hit the 4,400 or something that I need to each month, but that's okay. I'll get caught up in bits and pieces throughout the year. I'm honestly, like, I don't know if it's January optimism, but I am like really not pressed about getting both the 10 pages on April and the finish on Snow Castle. Even though I'm starting behind, I don't feel pressed. Like I feel positive that I can get the goals accomplished. Maybe it's because those are the only two major goals that I have set. I'm not sure. Not sure what's causing this optimism, but yeah, I think that I can get those two things done before the end of the year. So those are the plans. Those are the plans for the next week or so. Now, if we get 1.5 feet of snow this weekend, then two things. My daughter's going to be out of school at least next Tuesday, if not all week next week. Snow around here, it's not like in the north where snow is just a part of winter. Snow is an absolute full stop around here. And so it is entirely possible that she will not have school all next week if we get the 1.5 feet of snow on the weekend. The other thing is that the forecast for after the fact, it's not looking like it's going to warm up a whole lot. So we may have this snow for a while. However, the second part is that it is very likely that my husband will also be off work for at least a couple of those days. Because he works for a small business, they get to make those decisions themselves. So it's entirely possible that he'll be home for at least a couple days if we get that kind of snow. So I am hoping that I'll be able to film my normal day next week. No matter how things work out, but we'll cross those bridges when we get there, and I will film again when I can. So we're going to switch over here real quickly, and we're going to talk about a couple of books, because I have finished 2 books so far this year. I have not read a single page since our flight to Florida. I didn't read while we were there, and I haven't picked anything up since we've gotten back. That will change today. Today I'll get back on track with reading again, and see what I can do. But I have finished 2 books. The last time that I talked about books, I mentioned that I was listening to Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This is the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, which is an urban fantasy. And in this first one, we are introduced to vampires and then a species known as lessers. They are essentially, they sell their souls for immortality and not immortality, but invincibility. Like they're incredibly strong and incredibly hard to kill. They are paranormal creatures, but not necessarily vampires. Okay. So anyway, so I thought that I had read several books from the Black Dagger Brotherhood previously, but 2 things. No record of it on my Goodreads, and I used to use Goodreads constantly. I think starting in like 2012. I think 2012 is when I first started using Goodreads. So no record of it on Goodreads, which maybe should have been hint number 1. And then as I'm listening to this book, it is absolutely new. Like, you know, I have a difficult time with remembering books shortly after closing them. But this felt very new. So anyway, so it's an urban fantasy / urban romantasy. And I ended up rating it 3 stars. It's light. Like it's not anything profound. I don't think it's trying to be profound. It's interesting, it's engaging, it's fast paced. So I will I have several of the books on audio. I canceled my Audible subscription, I want to say 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. But I still had a bunch of credits hanging around that I had to either use or lose. And since I had paid for them, I decided to use them. So I picked up, I think, 4 or 5 of these Black Decker Brotherhood books. So I'll just continue to listen to them. Periodically, I'll have one going. So I rated the first one 3 stars, and I'll probably continue. At least for now. The next book that I finished, the next book that I have to talk to you about is Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. And this is something else that I listen to on audiobook. I am now using Everand. So if you are looking for an alternative to Audible, Everand is pretty great. I really, really like Everand. They have access to a lot of the same titles that you can find on Audible, and they are, I think they're like more reasonable. I think I am at $16.99 a month on Everand, and I had it on pause for a few months there because I have plenty of audiobooks to listen to. Plus I use Libby as and when I can. But I think it's $15.99 or $16.99 a month, and I get 3 unlocks a month. Now, the thing about the unlocks on Everand is that they do not roll over. So if you don't use them, then you lose them. And so there's that. But you get access to these audiobooks, which is great. Without using Audible. The only struggle that I have with Everand is a part of an Audible problem or an Amazon problem. And that is that Everand does not have access to books that have been deemed Amazon exclusive. And authors opt into this. Publishers and authors opt into this with Amazon. They have the opportunity to give exclusivity rights to Amazon, meaning that you can't get their audiobooks anywhere else, so that they can get a little bit more in royalties. Apparently the bump in royalties is virtually insignificant, and they are long contracts. So books like Dungeon Crawler Carl and Project Hail Mary, those are 2 books that I have heard that are spectacular on audiobook and arguably meant to be listened to. They are meant to be heard rather than looked at. You cannot get those on any other platform other than Audible because of this exclusivity that they've got going on. So that's kind of a bummer. It's not Everand's fault. It's not really a choice, I'm sure, that Everand has. So yeah, just a heads up, Everand is a great alternative for things that are not exclusive to Amazon. Okay. Anyway, back to Listen for the Lie. Listen for the Lie I have on Everand because my Libby wait for Listen for the Lie was always like 6 months. I was like, I want to listen to it now. So I picked it, I unlocked it on Everand, and that's another one that is meant to be listened to. You should listen to the audiobook of that. It has a podcast element to it, and it works in there's like true crime podcast music. So that's kind of your switch of the story. So Listen for the Lie is about a young woman. At the start of the story, she's in her late 20s, I believe. I believe she's in her late 20s. And she is returning to small town Texas, which she currently lives in LA, but she's returning to her hometown, small town Texas, to celebrate her grandmother's birthday. And the reason that she left her hometown is that her closest friend died of questionable circumstances, and our main character, whose name escapes me, is the whole town's suspect number one. She is top of the list. Last to have seen her alive. Questionable circumstances over what happened in the death of this young woman. And so our main character has not been back for 5 years, I think, since this happened. The podcast element is that we have this, it's an unsolved case at this point. No charges were ever brought because there was no evidence to charge her way back when it happened. And so it's gone unsolved in small town Texas. And so we have this true crime podcast guy, who also happens to be in LA. And he swoops in on these unsolved cases and sort of reopens things up and gets people talking about things again to try and help authorities with solving whatever happened. And he's done this several times, so like it's very Making a Murderer or Serial kind of a thing going on. So that's where you get the podcast element, and it's very cool to switch from her POV to the podcast POV while going through figuring out what's going on in this case. I love an unreliable narrator thriller. I love it. Oh, that's my favorite, and that's what you get with this one. Nobody, you don't like anybody, you don't trust anybody, everybody is guilty, except for maybe one person. It's phenomenal. I highly recommend listening to this one on audio. I had a chance to meet Amy Tintera because she did a sci-fi zombie, essentially. Her debut is called Reboot. And so it's essentially like sci-fi zombies for young adult, and that came out in the mid 2010s. And if I remember right, I think I met her at Book Expo America. But Listen for the Lie is her sort of domestic thriller for adults, and I loved it. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really liked that. That has a high probability of being one of my favorite books for the year, because it was a lot of fun. Let's see, I ended up rating it 4 stars, I think. I don't like when I can guess the ending, and unfortunately I guessed the ending early. I guessed the whodunit early. So yeah, I don't like it when that happens. I like to be bamboozled. I like to be surprised. So yeah. Anyway, very fun. That book came out a couple years ago, so I know I'm late on that one, but if you need another recommendation for it, me. I recommended it was good. Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. Okay, I am still reading Red Rising. I hope to be able to finish that here in the next couple of days. I am not likely to get to all 3 of my books for my January TBR. I am going to prioritize the Whipco ones, and I will save Dawn of the Firebird for when I can get to it. Maybe just hold it over until February. Yeah, I'll get to the other ones first and go from there. I don't know if I'll be able to finish both before the end of the month, but we'll see on that one. I think that's everything. I think that I have talked enough I'm carving so much out of this, but my current runtime is saying 2 hours and 48 minutes long. Yeah, quite a bit to cut out there, but that's okay. So I am going to head off here, grab some lunch, and get this edited and posted for you all. Just real quickly here, thank you all so much for sticking with me through this video. And also, thank you for your continued support of me and my channel. I so appreciate you all. I appreciate y'all spending time with me every time I upload a video. And yeah, thank you. So I'm going to head off. Happy stitching. As always, be kind, and I will see you in the next one. Whip Go calls come out this Sunday, and my next update will hopefully be early next week. Okay, see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.